Okay, good afternoon, everyone. As many of you know, my name is Prue Pine. I'm the Marketing Coordinator here at Wine Communicators of Australia. Today's webinar will be presented by Lynda Schenk. Lynda is a WCA board member, but also head giraffe at Purple Giraffe, and we're going to hear lots more about her business shortly. Lynda will also share some insights into the new evolution of GPT or Chat GPT and other AI tools, and how they can greatly improve your productivity in your wine business. We've allowed plenty of time for any questions you may have to be answered at the end of the webinar. However, feel free to type them in as they come to mind. You can do that via the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. As usual, this webinar will be recorded and a link to the recording sent through to everyone who has registered for today's session. It is now my pleasure to hand over to you, Lynda, for today's presentation.
Thank you, Prue, and thank you for having me. It's fantastic to be back. I haven't been on this side of the camera for the WCA webinar program for a long time, but I do enjoy it from the other side of the camera much more when other people are presenting, but it's nice to be back today. I also see in the list of names that there's quite a few people that I know, so hi and welcome, and I hope that you get some value out of today. I will have a disclaimer. I do not know everything about Chat GPT. I don't think anybody could, to be honest, because it's moving so fast, and other AI tools, but I can share with you the way that we use it and my experience to date, and you know, what I know about is coming in the future. So let's get started on the presentation. Technology is always the thing. Here we go. Rightio. So just to start with, I think AI is definitely a tipping point, and there's been a lot of tipping points in the business world, and AI is definitely one of them. I believe, and I call it effectively, it's the industrial revolution for the white collar worker. I'd like to also let you know that every single picture in this presentation today has been developed by an AI tool. I have put a quote into the AI tool, and it was Firefox, I think. Let me just double check that. Adobe Firefox and, Adobe Firefly. And we'll talk more about that later, don't worry. And said to it, please develop this photograph. And you can see, because it is developed 100% by an AI tool, that there are a couple of things on the image that don't look quite right. You can see on the gentleman right in front of us, his lips kind of funny. The gentleman on my left-hand side is got some sort of funny mask on, and the one in the middle also has funny glasses. So AI tools are pulling data from what they understand to make these images. So throughout the presentation, every single image has been developed by an AI tool and not by a person at all. In this one, I asked for it to develop a picture of the industrial revolution for white collar workers, and this is what it came up with. So let's move forward. So AI definitely is amplifying human productivity. It's very difficult to find any research on it because it is relatively new, although it has been around since the 1950s, but it's relatively new in the mainstream. I guess the research that has been done, it differs depending on the industry you're in, but the general consensus is that AI actually enhances or amplifies human productivity by 40%. And it does it through different mechanisms, but mostly because it helps with mundane tasks, or it helps with collating data, or it helps with supporting I guess copywriting and all those sorts of things, and it does it very, very fast. And so 40% increase in productivity. Oh, I keep moving my thing. Here we go. The forecast for AI in US dollars, that's the only information that is available, is that by 2030, it will be a $2 trillion US business. And so therefore then, you know, it's definitely something that is growing and growing at an absolute rapid rate. Therefore then, what we're saying is, if you're not interested or not thinking about AI in your business, you will be left behind because it's coming, whether you like it or not. This image is actually really interesting because I asked the computer to develop an image of a person being chased by computers. And this is what it came up with. And you can tell that it struggled with this one quite a lot with the image. But I guess with AI, what we're doing, if you've ever looked at, you know, when you go on and there's two-factor verification, and sometimes it'll say, click on the motorbike, and you have to click on the actual motorbike, or click on the stop sign, or click on, you know, the person that's seated at a restaurant. By doing that, we are teaching AI platforms how to actually identify images. So you can see that it's not quite right yet, but this is the worst it is ever going to be. It's only ever going to get better from here. The problem with AI is that there are an enormous amount of platforms. And so there's two really great websites that I encourage you to record and take down. This one is, there's an AI for that. And what you can do is you can say, let's say, for instance, you wanted to come up with some a music AI tool to develop some music for you, some original music. You would put in there, find me music AI platforms. So there's an AI platform for that. And there's also this one, Futurepedia. Both platforms at the moment, or both websites at the moment, are free. And so they're really, really helpful to help you find a platform or an AI tool that you might like, because they are just increasing and growing every single day. And look, I took this screenshot of this page probably about 2 months ago now, and I'm quite sure that if I went to the website now, they would say that there's a whole lot more than 150,000 users and 50,000 platforms on, 350,000 platforms on there. It is just growing at an astronomical rate. The difficulty is finding a platform that you like and that will work well for you. So these two websites will certainly help with that. So today we're going to talk about Chat GPT. In the comments box, I'd love to, and I'm going to keep looking at it, is excuse me, is to ask you who uses Chat GPT. So if you're using it now, I'd love to just for you to go in the into the chat box and say yes, you're using it, and how you're using it, because it would just help for us all to understand. Equally, if you've got any ideas rather than questions at the end of this presentation, if you've got things that I haven't covered off on that you have found really helpful in Chat GPT, please share them, because this is the way that we're going to learn from each other through experiences that we've had using these platforms. But today we're going to talk about Chat GPT. On this image, I actually asked the computer to humanize Chat GPT, and this is what it came up with, which I thought was actually quite interesting, because it's kind of looks a little bit human robotic-y, so it's done really, really well. Chat GPT, it stands for GPT, stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer, which basically means it generates content or it generates words for you. Chat GPT, up until recently, was the fastest growing. It is now the second fastest growing app in history. So you can see there that to reach 1 million users, ChatGPT took 2 months, but the new Instagram-related app called Threads, I'm not sure if any of you have used Threads, perhaps that's a webinar for down the track, because we've been starting to use Threads, only took a couple of days. So up until recently, ChatGPT was the fastest to reach 1 million users, but not anymore. So the benefits of ChatGPT, well, certainly it can enhance your communications. What it does is it takes data from online, and it will collate it very, very quickly for you. And so when you used to possibly spend hours and hours and hours researching, so it's a great research assistant, researching for your article or for your content or for whatever you're going to write, you would spend hours and hours and hours potentially researching that. Whereas now what it can do is you can just put in a prompt, you ask it to develop content for you, and voila, it does it within seconds. And we're going to have an example of how that works. It also can create emails for you. It can write reports for you. It can collate data for you. So it has an enormous amount of benefits in that it can do all of that research and work that you would normally do yourself very, very quickly. It also is it helps with process improvement. And so I use it particularly for doing proposals. Let's say, for instance, a person might come to me and say, I'd really like a proposal for writing a communications plan. Well, we have our set proposals for that sort of thing. But in this instance with ChatGPT, we can go, we want a communications plan proposal. We want to understand the objectives of, this is the objectives for the client, and these are the outcomes that we want to achieve. And it literally sets it out in a lovely format for you. So it helps with process improvement. You could also do that with, say, policies and procedures. So if you're writing a procedure for your winery and you want to actually, you're not good at writing procedures, you can ask it to write you a procedure on how to use ChatGPT, for instance, or you can ask it to write a policy on what is your policy around using AI tools within the business, and it will come out and it will structure it all for you. They're the benefits. The pitfalls. So for ChatGPT, the data that's available is only up until 2020. And so, 3 years in the digital world is quite old. And so therefore then it's, you've got to take that into consideration. So if there's any new data, or if there's any new techniques or any new information that has been developed since 2020, it's probably not going to be able to answer it for you. And you can test it. I've tried it before, and you can actually ask it to write a summary on what is ChatGPT and how does it work. And it can tell you a little bit about it, but it can't tell you terribly much about the history, because guess what? It only goes to 2020, and ChatGPT hasn't actually come about until November of last year. So that's a pitfall. Accuracy of information. So you've got to remember that it's pulling information and data from online, and not all the data that is online is accurate. And so it will pull from all sorts of sources. And so therefore then it always needs to have human interaction and someone to check to make sure the information is accurate and appropriate for your business. So please be careful of that. The other thing is it writes like a computer. So its language might be different to yours. The style might be different to yours. It may be different to your brand style. And so therefore then it's always good to humanize it, to actually put your lens over it, to make sure it either sounds like your brand or sounds like you. I've forgotten what the last one is about. So it can't be important. Let's just move on from there. Okay, so for ChatGPT, it's really, really important, really important to make sure that your prompts are understandable for the system. So here's a lovely little prompt sheet, which I'm very happy for Prue to send out. I can send it to her separately as a PDF, and possibly she could send it out to you all later. But this is just a little guide on the types of prompts that you can use to get the best results out of ChatGPT when you use it. I'm not going to go through them all, but we'll send that out to you, and you can always have a read of it at your leisure. So there are two types of ChatGPT. There is the free version and there's the paid version. The free version is very, very good. And if you're going to use it really, really quickly, by all means, use the free version. As soon as I found out about ChatGPT, which was in February of this year, I went straight to the paid version. It costs $20 US a month, so it's about 30 Australian dollars per month. It's really well worth it. And the reason being is because the free version has limited usage, whereas the paid version obviously has a lot more opportunities for the types of things you can use it for, and I'll talk about those in 2 secs. It can be set up. So for instance, you can see on my screen here on the left-hand side, we've set it up for different clients that are our clients, and I probably actually shouldn't be sharing that with you, but I am. And so they're different clients there. So what we can do is that we can have different chats per client, and we can start to teach ChatGPT about those clients. So we feed information into the client chat, and it could be their about us on their website. It could be what their strategic plan is. It could be accounting data. It could be all sorts of different things. And we teach ChatGPT how to answer questions that are more relevant to that client, meaning that we'll even teach it to, for a language style. So for instance, it might be that one of the clients' style is more relaxed. And so we'll ask Chat GPT to rewrite it in a more relaxed style. After a while, it gets used to it and it actually will start to write in that style permanently. Also, the speed of use on the paid platform is a lot faster than the free platform. The access on the paid version, you have it all the time, whereas the free version, you can't always use it, because if there's too many users using it, it'll just say it's unavailable right now. So on the paid version, it's always yours, it's always there, and it's your version. On the paid version, again, it has support, and you can also have plugins, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So let me tell you this: I am not an advocate for Chat GPT, and I do not get a commission for trying to sell you the paid version right now, but it does have its advantages that you could consider using. So I want to give you an example right now of how ChatGPT works if you haven't ever used it. You can also see up the top here, I'm not sure if you can see my mouse, but there's a ChatGPT 3.5 and there's a ChatGPT 4. They're just different versions, and I'm sure people can see it even if you can't see my mouse. But I'm going to click on play, and you will see in a minute an example. So the question down the bottom here where it says send a message, it says, write 5 social media posts on the pros and cons of using battery electronic tractors. And so you can see how quickly, this is a recording, you can see how quickly that has come up with 5 social media posts. It also includes emojis. It includes suggested hashtags. It doesn't actually include businesses that you could tag, but it's pretty good. What I will say, though, is in this example, it's fairly repetitive in its content, meaning that because we've asked it to do five things on exactly the same topic, it actually has, kind of been a little bit repetitive. But the great thing is, I don't know about you, but it's hard to come up with great content all the time. And this is a really great thought starter. You might choose then to say, well, can you actually make it a little bit more friendly? Or you could say, can you make it a little bit more technical? Or can you make it a little bit more wine focused? So you can change it. And then what it will do is just spit it out really, really quickly. You also might have noticed on the left-hand side when it says on the black section, it actually has then opened up, because it's the paid version, it's opened up a new chat about that electronic tractor system. So that's one example. I'll give you another. If I can, here we go. So this one here, it says, write a policy for my winery to achieve carbon neutral by 2035, including a table with dates showing intermediate goals, and see how fast it is. So there's the table, and it gives you a summary at the end. Now you might say, there we go. I've said there now, draft this in a proposal. So it's now come out and it's done a proposal on how you could pitch that to somebody if you wanted to do a proposal, or if you wanted to pitch it to your board or your manager or whoever it is that you want to propose that this is the type of thing you want to do. Now, not everything in there is going to be perfect. It's going to be pretty damn good. I'm going to tell you that. It is going to be pretty good. But I encourage every single person to please go through and make sure you humanize it, make sure that you actually make it's accurate for your business. Remembering again that it's pulling just from, the web. So this is another example. It says here, prepare a table with the pros and cons of different wine bottles. I haven't pressed play yet. Bottle closures and comments on what might be most valuable to different markets across the world. So this is a pre-recording, so it just takes a little while for the recording to start. There it goes. So you can see it is quite incredible. And I don't think, unless you've ever used it before, if you've never used it, you cannot understand how fast it actually is. And then I've just gone, elaborate on this. So it didn't have enough detail for me. I wanted to have more detail. Can you please elaborate on this? And there you go. So I'm hoping that you're wowed. I certainly was when I first saw it, and that's why I went straight back to work and I said, we have to get on this. We have to actually use this to make our business more efficient, and also save a lot of time on researching for lots and lots of different things. The great thing is now ChatGPT has plugins, and those plugins are really, really helpful. There's thousands and thousands of them, so you've got to figure out which one's going to work for you. But these plugins help you to actually use data in conjunction with ChatGPT. The ones that we use at work are AI PDF. So AI PDF, what that does is it allows us to actually add a PDF into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT can then read it and summarize it, or use that data included with the data that it gets from online. So it's then got instant information. The other thing is that PDFs are quite often difficult. You have to, if you want to put that information into ChatGPT, you'd have to actually then copy and paste it, put it into the information button, and then ask it to summarize it or something like that. This way, with you just putting the PDF straight into the plugin, then it will read it straight away and work from there. The other one that we use is Science, and it has over 250 million scientific papers. Excuse me. Oh, sorry. Now, you might not want scientific papers for, sorry, I'm just going to have a little quick drink. Too much talking, I'm fine, thank you. Thanks, Bree. She's my savior. Scientific papers. So it has over 250 million scientific papers. Now we have that, we use that because we work with some businesses that are science-based, but you might have other papers that are important to your industry, and you can potentially add them in by using a plugin. The other one we use is called Voxscreen, VOXSCREEN. Which basically is a YouTube reader. And so you can go in there and you can say, sorry guys, you can say, oh, now she's giving me mint. She's the best, isn't she? You can say, I'm getting over a cold, so I apologize. A YouTube reader. So you can go in there and you can say, what are the top 10, I don't know, videos of all time? And whilst you can do that in YouTube, pardon me, in ChatGPT, it'll do it a lot faster, and it will actually collate all of the different ones that you would have got in YouTube, and then you'd have to actually collate it yourself. It does it for you. And the other one we use is Prompt Perfect, and I'm going to talk about Prompt Perfect a little bit later in this presentation. So plugins, definitely worth having a look at. Like I said, there are an enormous amount of them, and you can go crazy in finding them. Now, this picture is really, really interesting. It took me quite some time to even get to this one. So I put into the AI Firefly tool to say, what can you just come up with a graphic of graffiti art of Bard versus ChatGPT, and it literally could not understand my instructions. I tried it many, many different ways, and this is the best I could get. So you can tell that it hasn't even picked up on ChatGPT, the spelling of it correctly. But it's still pretty, it's interesting. But I couldn't get it right. So I just stuck with it to just show you that it doesn't always, come up exactly the way you want it, because it's still learning. The AI tool's still learning. But the reason this slide is here is because I wanted to talk to you the difference between Bard and ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is actually using data that is 2 years old. We talked about that before. It has a free and a paid version. It's generating creative text formats. So it's comes up, it's quite creative, and it can actually come up with creative ideas, whereas Bard less so. I think it's faster to generate. I've used both of them before, and I think it's faster to generate responses, and it's easier to read and navigate ChatGPT. Bard is a free platform. It's still in its experimental phase. Well, it was 2 or 3 months ago when I first researched it, which meaning it doesn't always generate accurate information. 2 or 3 months in the AI world is probably a long time, and so I could be way out of date, and it could be a lot better. I've chosen to use Chat GPT, and I think a lot of people have, but Bard is definitely an option, and there are other options now as well. But I found Bard was also slower to generate. So what I would encourage you to do is try the free version of Chat GPT and try the free version of Bard and see which one suits you best. All righty. So that's Chat GPT. What I want to talk about now is some other AI tools that we've had some fun with. Oh, golly gosh. So a little while ago, I went to a presentation from a guy by the name of Prue. I'm going to have to get you to take over while I cough.
Yep.
Sorry.
It's all good. Lynda's just taking a little break, but while she's doing that, before we move on to other AI, maybe if you have some burning questions regarding Chat GPT or the Bard, if you just want to put them in the Q&A box there now, and I'm sure Lynda will be happy to answer them. Otherwise, we will move on and we'll ask questions at the end.
Cool.
So feel free to put them in. How are you going there, Lynda?
Yeah, thanks, Prue. Sorry, I am getting over a cold, and it's I thought I'd be fine, but too much talking is going on. So I went to a presentation for a guy by the name of Craig Risdon. And Craig's Risdon title is a futurist. Can you believe it? There's a job called a futurist. Anyway, he gets paid a lot of money to travel around the world to talk about the future and you know, what a particularly in business, what's the next big thing. Anyway, it was a fantastic presentation and it blew my mind. And during that presentation, we used 100% AI to develop video content. And I want to share with you what we develop right now. Remembering, of course, I did this it took me 20 minutes and I was learning it. So then I'm going to tell you how we actually then produced, how we can do it, how you can do it yourself. And so hopefully you'll have some fun with this. But I'd like to introduce you to Adam. This is Adam, and this is who the presentation that I developed. There's some shameless plugging in here, so please forgive me for that. But this is Adam, and this was developed from 100% AI tools. I never wrote a thing other than the prompts, of which as I said, I will go through and show you how we did it in a minute.
Running a medium-sized business is no small task. You've got plenty to handle, so why juggle marketing on your own? Enter Purple Giraffe Outsource Marketing Services. We are the specialists you need to navigate the complex world of marketing. From crafting powerful strategies to executing compelling campaigns, we take the weight off your shoulders so you can focus on what you do best. With Purple Giraffe, watch your business reach new heights. Reach out to us today. Purple Giraffe. When you win, we win.
Okay, that's Adam. I couldn't hear it at this end, so hopefully you could hear it at your end, but Adam's kind of cute, really. I actually tried them to get the Purple Giraffe, but they couldn't get a Purple Giraffe to speak. The AI tool couldn't figure out what a Purple Giraffe and how it would speak, so I ended up with a Purple Adam instead. Okay, so how did we produce this video? As I said, it's 100% AI. All I did was put in prompts into the computer. That was the Purple Giraffe. I tried to get it to speak and it wouldn't speak. So to start with, we used Chat GPT, and I'm going to go through this slide by slide, but quickly I'll just summarize for you. Then we used a platform called Prompt Perfect to actually help with the prompts and make it a little bit better. Then we used 11 Labs, which we'll go through in a minute, and I'll explain to you what 11 Labs is, which is the audio. And then we use Adobe Firefly, which is, as I said, the platform that I used for the entire presentation to come up with the images. And then we used the D-ID, which actually combines the audio and the images all together. And I encourage you to have a go at this because it is really great fun, and you can do it all for free. There's not any other than ChatGPT, which I use the paid version, but you can use the free version. The whole lot, you can produce your own video for free. So here we go. The first thing we're going to go through, well, we talked about ChatGPT, so there's no point in going through that any further. But this is prompt perfect. And I'm going to play a little bit of a video, probably only about half of the video for you to explain to you what prompt perfect is, because this guy does a better job than I probably will. And it also gives me a chance to rest my little voice so I'm not coughing all over you again.
Today we're going to cover a free Chat GPT plugin that'll take you from normal prompt engineer into expert prompt engineer just by typing the word perfect. And it's called Prompt Perfect. You can get it in the plugin store. It's completely free. You just click install. And apparently it's like etiquette school for your prompts. So if you have like normal words that are coming out of your mouth, it takes it and puts it into a perfect form that Chat GPT can understand. So the way to use it is you type in perfect and then you can just talk kind of normally, like, perfect. What's the white linear thing that sits under the roof and above the windows and walls of a house? So what it should do is take this kind of colloquial language as if you're just kind of asking your friend, and then it'll edit it into a nice form. So here we go, using prompt perfect. And now it says request for prompt perfect, and it gives a normal text at first, and it should spit back the edited text. Here we go. So it rephrased it automatically, and it said, can you describe the specific architectural feature that is typically located above the windows and walls of a house, directly underneath the roof, and is characterized by its linear white appearance? And then the architectural feature that you're describing sounds like fascia. The fascia is a long straight board that runs along the lower edge of the roof. It's typically installed on the lower ends, so on and so on. So this is good if you don't know specifically what kind of words you're looking for, but you know kind of what you want. You can use Prompt Perfect to kind of edit it for you. So let's try a business context real quick. And let's say perfect, and that's how you actually.
All right, we got the technology down pat. So you can see from one that chat was just saying that you can use Prompt Perfect, one, to make your like to understand things more, but secondly also to help you with your prompt. So what we did was in Chat GPT, I said write a how many seconds? It was like a 30-second script for Purple Giraffe marketing to the wine industry. And it will come up and it will say, it said something like narrator and then speaker and then narrator and then speaker. So I then went into Prompt Perfect and I said, can you please take out the narrator or the speaker? I can't really remember now. Take out one of those and also then make it into a speech that you would give on a video. And so Prompt Perfect changed all the words so that it just came up with the words that Adam said. There is another example that I'm going to show you that we did for this one at the end of this presentation that used my picture, and you can see what happened there. So literally to do this, it took me, because I was learning the first time, it took 20 minutes. This one took about 10 because I was still learning. It was the second time. Then we went to 11 Labs. And 11 Labs is a tool that converts the written word into audio. And so with 11 Labs, I use the free version. When you use the free version, there is only about 6 American male voices and there are 6 American female voices. If you go for the paid version, you can have it in any language, any accent, pretty much any accent, any style that you like. There are thousands and thousands to choose from. And so you could probably choose one that sounds a little bit more like you than this one does of me when you see it in a minute. But what 11 Labs does is you just put in the written words into a box, and it basically, you pick the voice that you want, and literally it just converts it like that to an audio, to an MP3. Then we went to Adobe Firefly. Now I want to show you a video on Adobe Firefly if you've never seen it before. It is amazing. So if you have access to Adobe, this is 100% available to you right now. So you do have to have the Adobe subscription, but Firefly is part of the subscription. And luckily, because I have a marketing business, we have an Adobe account. So I kind of lied a little bit. We did pay, I guess, a little bit, but it's part of a platform that we already use. I'll just press play on this one. mean, does that just blow your mind or what? It just blows my mind, and I just think it's such a wonderful tool that's going to make everybody look amazing. So in my Adam example, as I said, the first time I used it, I asked it to draw a purple giraffe. But when I got to the end, it wouldn't allow me to use the purple giraffe. It couldn't figure out the mouthpiece. And so therefore then I just used Adam instead, which I asked for a purple cartoon character. And the reason I called him Adam is because that was the name of the voice that I used when I used 11 Labs. All right, so that's Adobe Firefly. Really exciting tool. Our graphic designer is just loving it, absolutely loving it, and doing all sorts of amazing things so much faster than she used to be able to do. Here's the great thing. For everybody who uses these tools, you can pass that speed and that agility onto either your clients, or you can get more stuff done because you can do it a lot quicker than what you used to do. The other great tool that is available for images is one called Midjourney. The Midjourney is quite exciting, and it has the most amazing images. I didn't actually put on the purple giraffe. I thought you might be a bit sick of those by now. And so what I did when I used Midjourney for the first time, I asked it to come up with a giraffe dancing in the snow. Don't ask me why, I was just, felt like it. And it comes up with 4 different options, and then you can pick an option and you can go, I like that option, now enhance that option. And it just keeps enhancing it. You just keep telling it to do more things until you get to a picture that you absolutely love. And so you can see on some of these pictures, it's a little bit pixelated on my screen. I'm not sure about your screen, but on my screen, it's a little pixelated. The crispness is a lot better. Normally, I think it's just the image that I put in there. But you can see that some of those people look absolutely real, and they are not. They are generated by an AI tool. So this is the video that I made using those platforms that we just talked about. Now, you've got to remember that it's not great, but I used all free versions other than Firefly, I guess. And it's the worst it's ever going to be. And so this is just a still image of me in my office, and you will now see what it has to say. If I can find the play button. Here it is.
Experience the vintner's revolution. Chat GPT and cutting-edge AI tools are transforming the world of winemaking. Unleash the potential of AI as it enhances productivity and creativity. Embrace the future of the wine industry with technology as your ally, crafting exquisite flavors and delivering exceptional experiences. Join the journey where tradition meets innovation, and let your wines thrive in this new era of possibilities.
So what do you think I sound like with an American accent? So to put those together, what we did was we used a platform called D-ID, and that you just put the audio that you had produced from 11 Labs into the image. And on this instance, I used a still image of me, but you could have used any of the images that you came up with in Firefly, and put them together, and you say to the AI tool, just do it, and literally it does it really, really quickly. It looks a little bit funny around the mouth because obviously that's a still image, right? But it's, as I said, it is the worst it's ever going to be today. And so it's only going to get better from now on. Really, really cool. The other piece of information or, I guess, platform that I'd really love to share with you is something that Microsoft are testing right now. And I was lucky enough to be at a presentation last Friday from Microsoft about this Copilot, and they were showing the people in the seminar that I was at, what some of the applications that Copilot can do, and it's being developed and tested. It's with 600 businesses right now being tested by Microsoft. It's the most amazing AI tool, I think, that's going to really, really change our world if you're a Microsoft user. So let me play this video for you, and hopefully you'll be as excited as I am.
Introducing Microsoft 365 Copilot, your Copilot for work. Copilot combines the power of large language models with your data in the Microsoft Graph and the Microsoft 365 apps to turn your words into the most powerful productivity tool on the planet.
is coming to life in the products millions of people use and rely on every day. Let's see how Copilot can use your customer notes in OneNote as well as another internal document. Copilot quickly creates a first draft. You can turn your Word document into a PowerPoint presentation that you can hone and polish. Let's jump into Copilot in Excel. You start by asking Copilot to analyze the data and give you 3 key trends. Within seconds, you've got what you need. Triage your inbox, highlighting the most important emails to prioritize. You can draft a reply using data from an Excel file, and Copilot will generate a reply for you.
The real magic of Copilot happens during a live meeting. You can ask Copilot to summarize what's happened so far. You can see who said what points were made. You can follow a meeting and catch up to see what you missed, even if you can't attend.
I want to show you an entirely new standalone experience. Business Chat works across all your emails, files, meetings, chats, documents, calendar, and more to turn all your data into knowledge.
Now let's imagine you're working on your business strategy. You ask Copilot to pull up quarterly projections and identify related risks. Copilot gives you key data points and flags potential issues.
We're deeply committed to listening, learning, and adapting with speed to help create a brighter future of work for everyone with AI.
So as you can see, that is going to change the way we work forever when it's actually released, if you're a Microsoft person. It was only announced in March 2023. I pushed really hard last week with the Microsoft presentation that I was at to find out when it's going to be released to the general public, and they were tight-lipped. There was no time, there was no date, and there was absolutely no information at all. He just said no comment several times. So I guess we'll watch this space and see what happens next. So Microsoft Copilot is a very exciting thing that's coming forward. But if Microsoft are doing it, there's no doubt that everybody else is got their own little things in the end. Okay, so the thing is with AI is that there are so many platforms and there's so many things, and it doesn't matter who you speak to. There'll be, someone that says, I've found this new thing, or this absolute, you've got to try this, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. Well, frankly, you don't got to do anything, but I do think you need to think about what you're going to do and how you're going to implement it into your business. And so I think to do that, the best way is to be very strategic about the way that you use it and the way that you implement things. And that is starting with what your goal is. What is it that you have pain points in your business, or the things that you're looking for that you don't maybe have the current capabilities in, or looking for gaps in resources. So for instance, if you don't have a person that's really good with copywriting, maybe Chat GPT is something that you could consider to help you write things if you're not a natural writer. And then what I would do is write a list of all the things that you think that could be more efficient, the more repetitive type things, and then go and research an app or an AI app that will actually assist you in making those things less repetitive or making them work for you faster. So be really strategic about what it is that you need to help to get you using this AI tool to help you in your business. And I'll give you an example. So at my work, what we've decided is we write a lot of stuff, right? So Chat GPT was a very obvious thing for us to look at. Is it accurate? Is it always right? Absolutely not. Do we always have to put our human lens over it? Absolutely we do. But sometimes it's just a thought starter. And sometimes when you're working across different things all the time, a thought starter is all you need to jolt your memory. The other thing is we obviously do a lot of graphic design. So we've been looking into AI tools like the Firefly and other AI tools that can help with graphic design. we have done a lot of research around customer journeys and how we can use AI tools to actually enhance customer journeys and make them more personalized in the platforms that we currently use. What plugins can we use that might plug into MailChimp, or might plug into Shopify, or might plug into Campaign Monitor? So all the different AI tools that you can use to enhance that customer journey and make it more personalized. So they're the types of things that we are researching at the moment. But they're the types of things that we need in our business. You might need different things in your business. So what I encourage you to do is make a list of all of those, prioritize them, and then just do one at a time. Otherwise, it will become too overwhelming and it'll just all become too hard. So make it work for you. So it is at this time that I'm more than happy and would love to take some questions.
Oh, I'm just coming up. Wonderful. Thank you, Lynda. And I have to confess, I'm in that category of didn't know anything about Chat GPT, and I'm completely blown away by its capability. So thank you so much for sharing today. It was really fantastic. I do feel sorry though for any university lecturer or school teacher. I think they need to be right up to speed with all of this, because you know, I imagine in that setting with assignments and things that it could get a little tricky. So feel free, everyone, to pop your questions in, preferably in the Q&A versus the chat, but either is fine. So first question for you today, Lynda, is, are you worried about putting in personal data or sensitive business information into an AI? Like, I guess it's a good question. Does it store it? What happens to that information?
Absolutely, and yes is the answer. And so I have chosen not to put any financial data into Chat GPT. All of it is what's readily available online anyway, because I am quite cautious about that. I've asked the same question myself, and there's different answers from different people, but I feel like anything online is open source, whether you pay for it or not. And so, yeah, absolutely, I'm cautious about it. I don't have the trust in it just yet.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Another great question's come through regarding intellectual property and copyright. Who owns the rights when an image has been generated by AI?
It's an excellent question. Yeah. And guess what? It's not defined yet. But I suspect the lawyers out there are having a field day trying to work out what that is. There's no precedent being set yet. And there's no ruling around it. However, my understanding when I was talking, as I said to the guy last week from Microsoft, the question was posed there as well. And he said that that is one of the reasons it's actually being stalled. It's launched because the legal beagles are all trying to work out, you know, who owns it and who doesn't. So I don't think that that's been defined yet. And it's going to be an interesting court case when it comes up.
Absolutely. Matthew's asking, do you know any good AI tools where you can plug in some photos and text and it spits out a video or voiceover? Was that D?
Yes.
Is that something different?
So videos and text with a voiceover?
Yeah. Any good AI tools where you can plug in some photos and text and it spits out a video with a voiceover?
Okay. I'm not familiar with one. I know the D-ID already had the audio in it, and the video, and it put it together that way. But I have no doubt in my mind that there will be one. What I would do is go to that one of those two websites. There's an AI for that, and stick it in there and see what comes up.
Excellent. And Lynda, from your exploration of the whole AI space, I know you've given some recommendations on some platforms that you'd recommend. Are there any that you would steer right clear of? Are there any out there that you just say, look, don't touch it?
Yeah.
Or is that a hard question?
It's a really hard question because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
And at Purple Giraffe, we've been laser focused on the things that will actually only help us. We haven't sort of been distracted by any other noise. and because there's too many of them. So that's why I was saying in the implementation phase, if you're going to do it, pick one or two that you know is going to help you in your business, and just research those ones and don't get distracted by too much. So I have no doubt there's some steer clear of them, but there's way too many of them for me to be able to know what all of them are. And to be honest, I haven't done research in that area either.
Fair enough. And you got any examples within wine businesses that have used AI in a really clever, smart way, and how they used it? What areas of their wine business?
Yeah, so not really. So most people are probably at their infancy that I'm aware of. Some people use Chat GPT and it helps them with their posts, or it helps them with their other things. There are some, believe it or not, there are some already existing AI tools that we probably all used to, but we didn't realize what they were before, that help with people's customer journeys. But I'm not aware of anyone that has absolutely taken it to task. But I'll tell you what, I'll put it out to the audience to say whether they actually know of any businesses that have.
Absolutely. Are there any tools or websites to help teach you how to engineer prompts, or is it just trial and error?
Yeah, that prompt list that I displayed on there before, that came from online. It came from an accumulation of different prompts that we've sourced. But I'm not aware of one where you can just go, what's the best prompt for this? However, there is more and more coming about that every single day, because it's still in its infancy, and the world's kind of catching up with what works and what doesn't. If you go onto YouTube, there's a lot of people that are on YouTube saying this prompt works, this prompt works, and this prompt works.
Yeah.
From my point of view, it's been trial and error.
Yeah. No, great advice. And so I guess you can't break anything. You can't make a mistake. You just get on there and try using it. Is it a download? Do you download the content, or do you need to copy and paste and then format? Is there anything there that you've discovered that you can give a couple of tips?
Sure. So what we do is, when it comes up with the content, if you want to use it, we copy and paste it. So we copy and paste it into whatever document it's going to be used in, and then you edit it from there. You can ask it several times to do different things. You can actually say, summarize this, or like I said before, make it more friendly, or add references. You can ask it to reference. You can do all sorts of different things in the platform. But when you come to finally use it, and I've heard of people that actually write blogs in there and they use them, I really discourage that, because you can kind of tell. And also it's just lazy, right? So like I said, it's really important, I think, to humanize it.
Absolutely. I liked what you said earlier about it providing you a base, some inspiration for your own creativity, and don't turn it into a lazy way of communicating with your customers. That's for sure. Okay, this question: can it take a photo of someone like Brad Pitt and put words into his mouth?
Yes.
I'm being a bit.
It can. It absolutely can. I've seen examples of that. I've seen examples when I was talking about that Craig Risdon guy that was the futurist. Yeah. He showed us examples exactly of that. And oh my gosh, they were so similar. It was frightening. It actually he did lots of things. He actually used, say, Brad Pitt, and he had somebody else's voice talking about, through Brad Pitt, similar to what you saw at my presentation. But then what they did was they had a different image of a different person, and they had Brad Pitt's voice. So it actually copied his voice and then came up with original content. So part of me doesn't like that. And lots of part of me doesn't like that, because, it's going to be really great for scammers moving forward. But, I try to let the excitement take over from the skepticism, but absolutely it can.
Yeah. Wow. The future is exciting and scary all in one.
Indeed.
So Excellent. So Matthew's just provided an example there with the Tom Cruise deep fake video that looks very real. So I'm sure everyone has been online playing as you've been speaking, Lynda.
Yeah.
But we're almost out of time for today. So thank you very much again for presenting and sharing all you've learned so far, the whole AI evolution and space. I imagine if you did this same presentation in 6 months' time, it would look very different because, as you said, it's all moving very, very quickly. So just want to flag a couple of things with our guests today. Our next webinar is on Tuesday, the 10th of October, and we're going to be looking in the space of sustainability and ESG, and that's going to be presented by a team of experts and led by Wine Australia. So keep an eye out. Registrations will be opening shortly on the WCA website under the events tab. For all our WCA members listening today, our recordings from previous webinars are all stored on our website and you can watch them at any time under the education section. And if you're not a member and keen to find out more, one of the key benefits are you get to join us each month for this webinar program with no charge. So we would love for you guys to come on board. Just go to the membership tab and find out more. And lastly, if you have any suggestions for webinar topics you'd like us to cover in the program, please email me directly at wca@winecommunicators.com.au. Thanks again for joining us and have a great rest of your day.